Hey guys, Justin Haywald here, and we're going to be playing Shadow of Mordor today. I've got some of the guys on the dev team. I have Peter, who's VP of Development, and Evan, who's going to be driving the game. You are an assistant producer?
Yep.
So what are we going to be checking out today in Shadow of Mordor? I know we've seen a lot, we've heard so much about this game.
Yeah, so we're going to be diving into about the middle of the game, a place called the Sea of Nirn. And just to give it a little setup, we're playing Talion. He's a ranger of Gondor. And then sort of a harsh fate has befallen him, which is that in the time period between The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, Sauron makes his return to Mordor, where he starts to gather an army to do the invasion that we see in Lord of the Rings. And so we play Talion, who is stationed at the gates on the eve of his return to Mordor. And he actually kills us, kills our entire family, which launches off the events of the game. And I'm going to let Galadriel sort of set the rest of this up.
Okay.
Okay?
In the land of Mordor, where the shadows lie. It was here, on the slopes of Mount Doom, that the Dark Lord Sauron was defeated by a last alliance of men and elves. It is here that for 2,500 years the Rangers of Gondor stood watch, guarding against a nameless threat they had all but forgotten. And while the strength of Gondor faded, the power and malice of Sauron grew in darkness. He has returned to Mordor. Shadow, flame have fallen with their fate, and no mortal man can stand in its path.
So no mortal man can stand in its path, which is actually okay because at the time of our death, they're doing this ritual which calls back the spirit of a wraith, and that wraith we've revealed is the spirit of Celebrimbor, who was the elf in the Second Age who helped Sauron forge the Rings of Power. And so he gives us this power of the shadow, the power to look into our enemies' minds. And it's that power that we're going to explore as we get into this next phase of the game where we meet Lady Marwen. So let's go ahead and kick that off.
To the beginning. Like, I know some people might be a little concerned about getting some spoilers.
Right. So actually, yeah, we are fairly deep into the game, but we wanted to do that to show off a lot of the powers that Talion has, especially this sort of deeper power that the Wraith, the power of the Shadow, gives us. And so in the beginning of the game, we know that that power can look into the minds of our enemies, reveal details about them, reveal their strengths and weaknesses. But at this point, Lady Marwen, who's the Queen of the Shore, the last sort of holdout against Sauron, so it's the human resistance working in Mordor. And we see here the Sea of Nirn, which is a very lush green area of Mordor, a place that's never been explored before.
Yeah, normally when you think of Mordor, you think of a desolate, horrible place.
Exactly, and this is not that at all. Very lush. They till the fields here to feed their troops. They fish the oceans to get fish to feed their troops, and so it's a very different look at a place in Mordor. And Lady Marwen has set us on a quest to use this power of the Shadow to look into the minds of our enemies. And so to really show that off, we wanted to jump to the midway point of the game, or a little bit beyond it, give Talion that power that he needs to look into their minds and dominate them truly. So let's take a look at the army screen, which really is the heart of the Nemesis system. One cool thing about this is that this is the only time you'll ever see these enemies, because every instance of the game you get completely different enemies. These war chiefs that we're going to hunt down, you'll never see them again, and the captains that are their bodyguards, you'll never see them again either. So let's zoom in and see what I'm talking about.
And so each of these guys have their own personality, they have their own weaknesses and strengths.
Exactly. So Athkoth, the shield, power 12. He has his own motivations. He likes just lurking in the shadows, it looks like. And they have their own conditions that will draw them out. So we're going to have to show him that we are hunting his supporters by killing a lot of them with ranged attacks. And if we move on down the line, and we meet Latbag the Fowl. You can tell, needs a shower, the flies buzzing around him, and he is trying to decide the most satisfying way to crush someone's skull in. So, maybe not the most glorious of motives, but a motive nonetheless. And he is surrounded by a bunch of berserkers. These are guys with 2 axes, and we're going to have to draw him out by killing his berserkers. And if we move on down the line, we can start to explore some of their strengths and weaknesses too. So Darg the Strong, I'd expect this guy to be pretty tough to be in this position. And indeed, very few weaknesses, a couple of hints of how we can damage him, and his strengths. If you trigger any of these strengths, his hatreds, then it even cancels out his weaknesses. So these are things we're going to have to be careful about. And then and then all of the other strengths are also qualities that we should be aware of if we're hunting this war chief down. Moving down the line and looking at Shaka the swordsmith, I can see he's called that because of his 2 glorious swords. Let's see how many bodyguards this guy has with him. So each of these war chiefs, they will come with sort of built-in support, and you can ignore that and go straight after the war chief. Our mission here is to take one of these guys out and then replace him with one of our own converted minions. And so if we go straight after him, he'd come up with these 2 bodyguards that you see below us in tow. This guy, Ratlug, we know his identity and location. And so we could go hunt him down and convert him to our side and have him betray his master and put him in the war chief's place. And he's actually on a mission of his own. One thing about Orc Society is that these guys are always up to something. They're either on a hunt, or they're on a duel against each other, or they've been sent to execute another Uruk who won't listen to another war chief. And so Orc Society is always moving, always evolving. His other bodyguard we don't know that much about, so we're going to have to find some intel in the world and find his location. That would reveal where he is and his name and his strengths and weaknesses. But if we jump back up to our war chiefs and meet our last one, Uskul the Torturer, he likes to, he's thinking about the last Orky that got killed. So likes to linger on those deaths, and let's look at his strengths and weaknesses. Vulnerable to mounted beasts, so we could show you how that works. We're finding a nice Karagor, ride him into the fray and see if we could do something like that. So if we pull back out, I'm going to actually throw it over to you, and you can tell me if any of these guys tickled your fancy, Athkoth or any of them.
So are these different for you every time you're playing this now as
Completely.
well, or is this is kind of set?
I've never met these guys before, and so we're going to go on a hunt, and this game plays out differently every time we hunt one of these guys down. So it's going to be, you're going to be experiencing it at the same time I am. So no matter who we go after.
I think we should go after Latbag the Fowl.
Okay, yeah, I like those flies buzzing around him.
I like the name Latbag.
And there's 2 ways to do this. We could go straight after him and take our chances, or we could take the tactical approach, go after his bodyguards, take them out, pit them against each other. Again, the choice is up to the player. In this case, the choice is up to you. Do you want me to go straight after him, do sort of a death run, see how that works out? Or should we be a little more tactical and go after the bodyguards?
I think we should be tactical, see how that kind of works out, because that's one of the more interesting things. So I got to play this a couple weeks back, and also it was a completely different slate of war chiefs and guys that I was fighting in it. That's what really taught me how this works, was chasing after these lower level guys and not going directly after the war chiefs.
It's a wise decision. So we're going to go after one of his bodyguards, Scoth the Blade Master. Love his helmet. He has quite a few vulnerabilities. He's lower in power, clumsy, which means that I don't even have to weaken him before I can grab him, so a good target. So we'll mark him and we'll go on a little hunt.
So we have one question over here in the chat, and if you have anything that you'd like to ask the developers, go ahead, jump in the chat and send those over towards us. Scrollback says, speaking of unique orcs, when did Ratbag become a story character and not a unique to my playthrough character? Or was that just for the early trailers and videos?
No, yeah, that's a great question. Ratbag, he started off as just an normal everyday orc, and much like the Nemesis system, these guys get promotions, they grow in power. We liked Ratbag so much and became so attached to him after doing that first video that we actually promoted him into a story character. And so you'll get to see that played out in the final game when it comes out September 30th.
But otherwise, when you're playing through this, these guys do have their own kind of mini stories that pop up as you're playing through this.
Yeah, absolutely. So like they have their own motivations. Some of them are poets. Some of them like to sing songs.
I didn't know there were orc poets. Is that?
Yeah. You do not want to hear orc poetry, but if you play the game, you will run across it. And some of them are just dumb as a rock, which maybe is to be expected. But those guys have their own personality that comes through. And if they love hunting, you'll find them on a hunt. If they love feasting, they might be having a feast, getting drunk on grog, trying to recruit some supporters to their side. So all of that plays out during the game.
Right now we're playing on the PlayStation 4 version, but you guys work directly on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the PC build of this, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How did they compare? Is it the same experience across all of them?
We are using the platform strengths wherever we can. So, but in essence, on those platforms, what you're seeing is going to be the same experience. Yep. And we have stumbled across a named enemy who is vulnerable to stealth, and so Evan was able to take him off, take him out right away with a combat finisher. Take care of these guys on the ground and go pick up that rune. And I'll show you how our weapons grow in strength. So as we kill these captains that we find in the world, or these war chiefs that we're hunting down, you pick up runes. And these runes carry the memory of that battle, but they also enhance the power of your weapon. And these are named weapons, just like in the lore where Gandalf had his sword and that sword never changed. Same with Aragorn. Talion carries these weapons with him. They stay with him throughout the course of the game, but the runes that we find and etch into our weapons, they increase the weapon's power. And like I said, they carry the memory of the orc that we slayed to get them. And so if you ever want to linger on, I remember that Gimoob fight, he gave me that rune, you can go and look at who the orc was that dropped it. And also, as the orcs grow in power, the more powerful the rune might be. And you can link these runes. So you could have runes linked between weapons. You could have runes stacked so that you could do 3 of the runes of the same with the same trait and triple that trait's strength, stuff like that.
So that's how you power up your weapon, but your character powers up himself as well, right?
Exactly, yeah. So if we actually have an ability that we can unlock. We've earned that through the course of play. Here you see your ranger skills and your wraith skills, sort of the human side of you and the shadow side of you. The wraith skills are those things that let you look into your enemy's mind and dominate them, or even dominate beasts. And it also lets us use our elf shot to travel through space. And the ranger skills, what you'd expect, like stealth and climbing abilities, combat abilities. So why don't we go ahead and let's do Death Threat, because we talked a little bit about the runes and their power. So Evan's going to choose Death Threat. And the ranger skills, what you'd expect, like...
Sorry, got a little bit of us talking in the background. Be quiet, us.
So we picked that ability. So Death Threat allows us to... Death Threat allows us to tell an orc that we're coming for him, and he'll be prepared when we do. But when we do, if we kill him, the rune that he drops, there's a much greater chance of that being an epic rune. In the background, we see Ishka the Armorer. We don't know his strengths and weaknesses, so we'd have to find a piece of intel in the world that would reveal that. But meanwhile, we're actually hunting for our target.
Yep.
And we haven't gotten quite to the point where he is, so we're gonna shadow step our way into the fortress, which will alert them to our presence, but we can probably take care of these guys before they raise the alarm. Using our combat ability there to one-hit kill him once our hit counter gets up. That's a combo kill. counter. The guy with the green icon over his head is a worm, so if Evan can take care of the guy who wants to raise the alarm and grab this guy, we can find out a little bit about some of the Uruk chiefs that we don't have all the information about. Take him, throw him into him. Nice move. Oh, got a little too fast. There you go. Take him out.
So you mentioned having those named weapons. Are there other weapons that you collect, or are those kind of your base things that you upgrade and you keep throughout the adventure?
Yeah, those 3 weapons are yours for the whole adventure, and the way that you're powering those up is through the runes. And so there's really an endless variety of those runes, and so those weapons can change in power and ability as you find more and more runes, and then you can reslot those runes at will to make them different and give them different powers. So we've picked just a lowly orc, but he's actually marked as a worm. That was the green icon above his head. And so we can send him to death threat somebody at this point, tell another war chief, or tell another captain that we're coming for him. But we're just going to use this to gain some intel. We found, I noticed that Evan found a guy that we didn't know too much about, or we could find out about the bodyguard that we're hunting for. Any one of these guys in black, we can reveal their identity and their strengths and weaknesses. Leave it up to Evan. He picked Feldouche the Bloodlicker, and now when we run across him, we'll know his strengths and weaknesses. And to thank him for his intel, we'll explode his head.
So if you had dismissed him, would he still be in that screen at the bottom?
Yeah, he would still be in your minimap, and he would actually have been loyal to us, because at this point, that power of the shadow that we have to dominate their minds, it makes the orcs follow our will. And so he would have had a soldier on his side, but being the sadist that he is, he wanted to explode his head.
So what happens if you just kill everybody on that screen?
You know what? The sort of Sauron's army never stops replenishing itself. You know, you've seen that pit, you know, where they're born out of. It's always issuing new Uruk. So it would take you quite a long time to rid Mordor of every Uruk.
So these are procedurally generated, I guess. Like it's made by computer. You didn't hand code each and every character.
No, yeah, that would because of the endless variety. Yeah, there is some code magic going on there. We're gonna pin this guy down so he doesn't get away. But
it looks like he's also about to sound an alarm.
He was trying to, but we prevented that from happening. Evan's trying to get to him. Nice. Still pinned down. Okay, he just got away. Let's see if we can tackle him. Got him. All right, so this guy was clumsy, which indicates that green icon indicates that he's grabbable, and we can dominate him without too much work. So is this the guy? Was this your target?
This was my target.
Sweet. So this is the bodyguard for the war chief that we've decided to go after, the guy with the flies around him. We're going to command him to betray his master. We could do any number of things. So let's dive into that. So that command could be to send him to murder another orc captain for us. We could initiate him into another war chief's tribe, in which case he might have to go do a hunt for that war chief. But in this case, he already reports to one of the war chiefs. We're going to have him betray Latbag, and we're going to be there to make sure that betrayal goes the way we want it to.
And so that'll actually affect the encounter that you have with him. It'll change it from what it would normally be to now when you go, Ladbag will show up and change that kind of story.
Exactly. So not only are your enemies always changing, but you're able to create your own missions through the Nemesis system. And in that sense, and because the orcs are always up to have their own motives, those missions are completely dynamic as well. And where that betrayal takes place, you never know where that's going to be. That could be in a middle of a fortress with tons and tons of Uruk around you, or it could be they could call them out to a remote location and make it a little easier on you. Now we've run across a named enemy in the world, Feldouche, and let's see, what's he up to? Vulnerable to combat finishers and ranged attacks. So we can try to pick him off from above and get ourselves a handy rune before we go into the... It was not vulnerable to stealth finishers, however. That was not my suggestion.
Whoops. Well, you guys do make the combat look very simple. Like, it just looks seamless and easy, but this isn't like a button masher. You're not just going in there and slamming. So how does combat work?
That's awesome. In the background, the Karagor, who just have a life in their mind of their own. Those are some of the beasts of Mordor. Attacked one of our named enemies who was vulnerable to beast attacks, and so took him out for us. And I'm sorry, your question I think was about combat mastery, which takes quite a bit of time. And that's why we've jumped into the middle of the game where Evan is fairly powered up. But one thing that we do is we give you these powers over time, and so like getting your hit counter up and learning that ability to. Oh, nice. So, not so nice actually. You wanted to convert that guy to your side.
No, I want to kill him.
You did? All the plan. All going according to plan. So you learn these abilities over time, and so the ability to become a master of combat, that's something that's going to come as you keep playing the game.
And so there's a little bit of a timed component because you can see the prompts come up on screen when you're fighting, but also kind of combo-based combat.
Exactly. So combos. Look out! We're gonna try to get rid of this Karagor. Go ahead and dominate him. Oh, let's make him our pet instead. Doing it the old-fashioned way, riding him like a rodeo. All right, so now that he's been broken, we can ride him. He's our pet, if you will, and this allows us to get around Mordor a little faster.
He's on a beast.
So we can attack from the back of the Karagor. That guy's afraid of Karagors, so he's gonna beat a hasty retreat. So yeah, so these orcs are always their strengths and weaknesses, their vulnerabilities, their fears. It creates new opportunities for us all the time.
So one question that we had from BZ Plasma, I mentioned we're playing on the PS4 controller and it seems to feel really good on a controller, but he's asking, is the PC version going to be tailored for mouse and keyboard controls? Will they feel solid?
Absolutely, yeah, we're dialing that in. It's already dialed in, and I think you'll find whether you plug a controller into your PC or you want to play traditional mouse and keyboard way, we support both of those.
And do you know if the PC version will support DualShock 4?
I don't know off the top of my head.
We will look into that for you, Sakatumi.
Yep.
I think I might want to have this guy initiated into a war chief.
Okay, so we've just dominated one of the captains that we found in the world. The guy who was afraid of Karagors. That fear allowed us to tackle him, dominate him quickly. We're going to have him initiate himself into the war chief that we were going after, Latbag. So he's going to do an initiation rite, become his bodyguard. We're going to be there to make sure that initiation goes well. So Nazkuga, the timid. Not sure we want a timid guy on our side, but we'll see how that works out.
So I know when I was playing through this, it took me a little bit to get used to it, and then once I figured out how all of this worked, and it's kind of like a chess game or a collectible card game in a way, and in the way that you move these around.
Yeah,
like absolutely. I really wanted to dig into it and just keep coming back to it. But Void Fox, one of our listeners, he's saying, my biggest concern is replayability. So sure, the war chiefs are random each playthrough, but it's essentially the same objective every game, isn't it?
Well, we're really just showing off the core of the Nemesis system here, and that Nemesis system does have endless variety. Like, I actually never get tired of hunting down like the variety of orcs that we have, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. Like, we're not exploring any of the story missions that we have, and there's quite a few of them. Our story was written by Christian Cantamessa, who was one of the main writers on Red Dead Redemption. And so you'll find our story structured in much the same way, where there's many different story missions to go on at any one time. And playing through those story missions brings totally new opportunities, totally new styles of gameplay to your attention. So it's what you see here is really just the tip of the iceberg.
A couple of people have continued to ask this about how many orcs are there. Like, is it possible to kill all of the orcs, or is that literally impossible?
It's literally impossible because there's always a grunt Uruk waiting for that promotion, waiting for a chance to become a captain or a war chief, and so like the ranks of Sauron's army will be constantly refreshed by the grunts as they grow in power, and anyone who actually lives through an encounter with you grows in power. So sometimes you're unwittingly seeding the army with more and more powerful Uruk, depending on your playstyle. So I think have we triggered this mission at this point?
Went to the wrong mission start point.
All right.
But we could do that right now if we wanted.
So why don't we fast travel over there? And we're showing that's using the Forge Towers, which unlock parts of the map, show you locations of the missions, the side missions, the activities that you can do in the game. We use that as a fast travel opportunity, and we're going to get to our initiation rite mission, which is right over there. And along the way, he's using his Wraith ability to move faster.
So you do have multiple ways of getting around the world.
Yeah.
So like we saw you riding on the what was that?
Caragor.
A Caragor.
Yep.
And I don't think I don't remember reading about those guys in the books. Where did you pull that from?
Completely original. So we wanted to create some unique enemies and beasts for the game. So Caragors. You'll also see a Graug, who's this sort of big lumbering beast.
Face don't taste very good anyway.
At night, these beasts called ghouls come out. So there's all kinds of different beasts that you'll meet in the game. So right now we're in the middle of an initiation rite where he has to kill these 3 Caragor to be initiated into the War Chief's ranks. We're going to make sure he succeeds in that mission and keep him alive and help him take out these Caragors. Because even though Talion is doing some of the mission for him, he'll totally take credit for it. Beast Hunt is resolved. Nazkuga gets his promotion. He's a bodyguard now. He already reports to us. So we're going to send him on a mission to betray his war chief. And all the troops that follow him are also loyal to us. Evan likes to do it. Just look right into his mind.
So all of these guys are your friends now, basically.
Exactly. Yep. He fights for us.
Are there any other NPCs in the game who are not orcs or anybody you can talk to?
like I said, we haven't quite revealed all the story missions, but you've met some of them. There's a long story that's played out between Talion and Celebrimbor, who is the wraith that keeps him alive. And so, we've revealed that Celebrimbor was the forger of the Rings of Power, and a little more of that backstory is revealed through as you play the game. You've seen Gollum in some of our trailers, so there's some story missions that definitely involve Gollum, and then there's other characters that we haven't announced that you'll get to meet. The Queen of the Shore, quite a few story missions revolving around that character as well. So a lot of NPCs that we haven't met.
So looking at combat, Darth Mauler 18 says, do the runes have a cooldown or are they constantly active? It looks like they're constantly active.
Yeah, they're constantly active, and it's about slotting in multiple runes, either stacking them or chaining them together to get new effects or more powerful effects.
And one of the questions that we had, you mentioned earlier that each game is somewhat customized or tailored towards the console that it's on. Does the PS4 version take advantage of the PS4 controller at all? Either in touchpad or move?
Yeah, so actually, like in the background, you probably can't hear it on the stream, but we're using the speaker on the PS4 and on the controller itself. You'll hear memories play out whenever there's a loading screen or whenever that'll be an opportunity to explore some of the backstory between Talion and his wife, or an exchange between Talion and Celebrimbor will play out on that. Also, anytime you use your Shadow ability, you hear that play on the controller. The touchpad is used for map control, so yeah, we're definitely taking full advantage of that controller.
Was there any consideration to putting in some Kinect support on Xbox One?
Not a lot of consideration. It's really just about what's going to be best for the kind of game that we're making, and Kinect wasn't part of that plan.
For PC, do you know if you'll be able to customize those controls, to suit your play style?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely. So we're nearing our mission start point. We'll climb up here and trigger this off and make sure that this betrayal goes the way. Oh, he's not going to like this. Evan decided not to kill him, to convert him to our side, so we have another minion to fight for us. All right, Latbag is finally in our sights, and we're going to make sure that this goes off the way we want it to, or we're going to try.
Hopefully I have 2 of his bodyguards.
That's right.
I trained you to be strong. Why do you act like cowards? Talking too long. Die now.
So the betrayal mission in full effect has been turned on. We have 2 named enemies fighting for us. Those are the 2 guys you see in blue. And we're going to have 2 fighting against us.
You do have to kind of be careful because you can still kill the guys in blue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your supporters can die. You can even attack them. Like they'll take friendly fire if you're not careful.
My cure! Get on your knees before my master, worm!
So this guy, not converted,
Not so unpleasant when you get used to it.
and very unpleasant looking. I guess that's where he got his disease name.
It's pretty messed up. That's really gross.
Hey! Who do you think will die first? You or this filthy traitor?
So Lapbag even calling out the fact that he knows that we've turned one of his guys against him, so calling that fact out. Another thing about, like I've mentioned, sort of Uruk society moves on, and they're always up to their own motives. They will also remember the encounters they had with you.
Do your worst!
I'm going to pause while
Scum!
Evan savors this victory. Take him down, kill him!
Kill him?
Yeah.
Kill him. Yeah, just kill him.
Put our guy in his place.
So now you've killed the war chief. And so is he going to be replaced by your guy because he's your friend?
Exactly. So that was the whole, like, that's why we initiated that captain into his ranks, so that we had a bodyguard in place to take his place when we killed him, which has happened. So he's been promoted. He got some nice new armor, and now that war chief belongs to us. All the troops that are loyal to him are loyal to us. Meanwhile, the one guy, the holdout, is trying to beat a hasty retreat. I'm not going to let that happen now.
So once you turn all the war chiefs to your side, is that part of this game essentially done, or?
That's part of the story is playing out as we're doing that, but you can be sure that, you know, if we're in there and we're messing with Sauron's army so much, I can't imagine that he is too happy about that. So at some point he'll probably mount a response to all the meddling that we're doing.
But this isn't necessary. You don't have to go through all of this to beat the game, or is this part of the main quest, main story as well?
No, part of the main story will be like making sure that you dive in and you start to grow this army. So taking on Sauron's forces, you're going to need some support. So part of the main story does revolve around making sure that you convert these guys to your side.
So Goopshoe Riot, listening in on the chat, says, what's the difference between kill and dominate? I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, exactly. So kill would be they're eliminated, they're out, like you think they're dead. Sometimes these guys make surprise reappearances, but you take them out, and dominate is turn them to your side, have them answer to your will, and convert them to you. And then once they're answering to you, you can send them on missions.
The rune that I got from the war chief is really good.
Oh, nice. You got an epic rune. That's the gold rune.
It's not epic. It's just.
Oh, it's not?
level.
Okay.
Yeah.
It has that named. It's a level 15 chance to recover health on any bow kill. That is a nice one.
And so those runes that you get are also random. You don't know necessarily what you're going to get.
Exactly. And earlier we unlocked the death threat ability, and so we can increase our chance to get an epic rune by sending a death threat to somebody, telling them that we're coming for them. It'll make the fight that much harder, but if we pull off that fight, the chance for an epic rune is all that much greater.
Let's do it.
This is going a lot differently than when I played it because, I just started in the game, got thrown right into this part. I died a lot more often.
Yep.
and so it's when you die that kind of time changes, that things pass. And so you wouldn't necessarily be able to just clear out as many of these orcs as you've seen right here without them getting more quickly replaced.
That's right. And if one of those orcs who killed you, when you die, they'll grow in power as well. And so Orc Society moves on as you die, and so you'll notice people getting promoted. Some die, some grow more powerful.
I will kill you.
But all that plays out every time we die.
So if you don't die, does that still happen?
It will, because you can advance time, and you can even choose to do that at will. So if you want some of these missions to play out, we could pause the game and advance time. So after this fight plays out, we could even do that. Or maybe Evan will die. you never know. So we don't know this guy's strengths and weaknesses, so we're going to this fight a little blind. But Horza we know. And is he on our... What's your purpose here, Evan? What are you up to?
I'm gonna get one of these guys and see if I can death thread War Chief.
Okay. They're gonna try and get one of these guys down and weak. And once that happens...
Thought I was only going to kill one coward today. Now that you're here, things are looking up.
How much dialogue did it take to keep all of this feeling?
Tons. Tons. Yeah, we were in the studio a really long time. We made sure that we got lots of different voices to cover all the different orc personalities and traits. So I don't think I've ever heard the same line twice. Like there's a ton of variety in the game. Using a Wraith Flurry into a head explosion. An instant kill using a combo once we get our hit counter up there.
And it's so easy to just watch combat it, so...
will be next.
So we've gotten him down.
Next guy is the guy I'm gonna dominate.
We're gonna get one of these named enemies out of our way. The duel is resolved, and so actually, Horza, the guy who lived, I think that's the guy who lived, yep. He'll take total credit for this, even though we did the work for him. He'll get promoted, he'll grow in power, he'll get all his strength back. So Evan's gonna try and take him out. Evan's gonna get poisoned. Headbutt. Ouch. Killing a berserker.
The cereal guy,
Yep.
he says, why aren't they falling off bridges? I've seen you guys throw them. I've seen them get thrown off bridges.
Yeah, you can grab them and throw them off.
But they're orcs. They're not just going to fall right off. They're smart.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why. Ruler can charge, promoted, kill man.
The orcs have different levels of intelligence as well. Some of them are very well spoken.
Exactly.
Some have trouble putting a sentence together.
This guy not a poet. Oh, headshot behind the shield, nice. So, clearing out.
Deathwalker.
Oh, there's another guy.
Sooner or later.
Ishka the armorer has found us.
Why delay the inevitable?
He obviously has poison arrows. I'm like, I wonder where those poison arrows are coming from. Yeah.
So Goth has a really interesting question. He says, can you turn the button prompts off for a more immersive experience in the game?
Yeah, you can.
Yep, totally. If you want to go
So like a
for-
hardcore.
Absolutely.
Be sorry you ever crossed me.
All right, so this guy is retreating, which indicates that he's vulnerable. So if we can buy ourselves a little time and get rid of this guy. We've made him vulnerable, so why don't we do him? All right, so all this time Evan's been trying to find a moment in time when he can issue a death threat to a war chief. So that's what we're going to do.
So how does a death threat
We're
work?
going to send a death threat to... so a death threat is basically, tell Darg the Strong we're coming for him. And he'll be prepared, he'll be all that much tougher, but if we tell him we're coming for him and we succeed, then the rune that he drops will be all that much greater. So we're going to issue a death threat. Who do you
I'm
want to go?
thinking Shaka.
Shaka? All right.
He's got 2 bodyguards. I think I can take this.
Shaka Khan, we're coming for you.
That guy does not have a very practical hat. This is the guy in the lower left-hand corner whose hat is on fire.
Yes, you know, he likes to show off a little flair.
Is there any way to customize your own character, or do you kind of basically always look the same?
Italian wears what he wears. The customization is in the abilities that you slot, how you wanna grow. Speaking of the flame hat guy, he heard you, and he wants to come after you. Oh, and that guy's still running away.
Because I would totally steal that hat and put it on.
Okay, so he is. So we can grab him. We can convert him to our side. We can just stab him in the back a lot of times. Evan did not like him.
He was really annoying me with those poison arrows.
So getting his revenge, again, totally up to you how you want to play the game. So totally valid.
I'm gonna go directly after this war chief. I'm feeling good about it.
Okay, we're gonna fast travel to this location head after this war chief and see how this fight plays out.
Yeah, we mentioned before that there are lots of different ways to get around, not just riding those mounts, but you can look on the map and just kind of swap over to a different area.
Yeah, we've unlocked these forge towers, which opens up our fast travel opportunities. It also opens up the ability to, it uncovers side activities, mission locations, things like that. Those guys are huddled around a fire. Let's ruin their day.
And that's an ability that you gain. You don't necessarily have, from the beginning, the ability to shoot into a fire and explode
exactly.
it.
That's an ability that we've unlocked and slotted in.
One thing that I did appreciate about moving around in this game is that you can basically climb anything. You don't have to like look for the ideal thing to climb up.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, we wanted to make sure that as a ranger, you know, it'd feel weird if why can't I climb that? So we want to make sure you can climb.
You want to get from point A to point B.
Yep.
Nothing's going to stop you. You can climb that mountain.
Exactly. Ride a Caragor, shadow step your way there. We're going to trigger a defenseless mission, which means that this guy has defenders, the guys with the big the big shields. So we're going to have to kill a certain number of them to draw him out. Each of these war chiefs, again, has their own conditions, and they're usually related to their personalities. So this is going to take us deep into one of these strongholds, these fortresses. We can make the entrance a little easier by dropping this piece of meat, and that will draw some Caragor to the area and distract the Uruk guarding the front door. There they come.
So a couple of people mentioned when they saw the map screen, they're asking, so is this the entire map? Is this the entire world?
This is only one part of it. So we're only revealing the Sea of Nirn right now, and there's other parts of Mordor that we haven't revealed yet.
More traditional parts of Mordor that maybe we're more familiar with.
Exactly, yeah. You might see a little more flame in other parts of the world. But to point out, too, this is earlier than the events of Lord of the Rings, so it will still be different than exactly what we've seen from the films.
How big is the world? Is there a comparison you could make?
You know, there's lots of different places in Mordor to go. Like comparisons, I don't really. What I can tell you is that like whom we're supporting, well over 40 hours of gameplay, just with the amount of enemies that you have to go through and the amount of territory that you have to explore, and the activities are sort of endless. So it's a huge world. So going headshot, trying to take these defenders out. How many? 2 down, three more to go.
So and now once you take out these defenders, the war chief is going to show up.
Yeah, exactly. That'll meet the conditions. And there's one more guy over there. I'm gonna try and get the drop on him.
And these can be very varied. I think I've seen a couple where it's like you have to do a stealth kill on 20 guys.
The conditions are always different. But Evan has fulfilled the conditions here, and he's called out Shaka.
Shaka knows I'm coming.
Yep, and we sent that death threat, so he knows I'm coming, right?
So let's unlock an ability before this.
Okay, we have
two abilities.
Points.
Ooh, what do you think?
So yeah, let's get that hit threshold level down. This will allow us to do combos all the faster. And then if you pair that with a fire arrow, then once you get those combos going, we can get the flame arrows going as well.
Is this a game where you need to kind of optimize your build and go after a specific skill tree, or will you basically be able to unlock all of those abilities?
Yeah, over time you'll be able to unlock them. So it's sort of up to you what you want to customize and specialize in first. And that guy trying to raise the alarm is not going to have that chance.
No! Both of my blades will have you answer for your threats.
So calling out the fact that we sent a death threat against him.
Oh, it's hard.
Evan already sensing that he might have gotten bitten off a little more than he can chew. And he's surrounded by berserkers. These are some of the toughest guys in our game.
Oh, I hope my master leaves your corpse for me to play with.
Yeah, earlier we talked about like one tactical way to do this is take out the bodyguards first. Didn't do that in this case, so he comes with bodyguards in tow.
This is the Rambo approach.
Exactly.
Oh, and you got Flame Hat back in.
Oh, and Flame Hat's here. Yep.
So there's not a co-op component. You're not going to play this with a friend, but there is a way
that I ran away from him.
Oh yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, we ran away from that guy. He references that. So co-op, no, but there is There is a challenge mode in the game, which is about taking out Sauron's army as fast as possible, and we will have leaderboards for that. So you will be able to compare your gameplay style, how successful you are against your friends.
And I think there was also something about sending a challenge, or maybe if there's some guy who's giving you trouble.
That's right, the vendettas. So if any of these guys, nice, vulnerable to range.
Good God.
Any of these guys who kill you or you're having particular problems with, you can actually send them to your friend's game, and if they take them out for you, then they get a reward, but you do as well. So you can share your enemies among your friends.
So you just saved yourself from the brink of death with that kind of a quick time event, but you can't do that endlessly. It's not like you're just going to get to do that every time, right?
So that's a last chance move, and the first one's a little easier to pull off. The second one is going to be, the timing's a little trickier. And did you do it?
Was it a
And a little
shock,
trickier,
sweetness,
and
to
didn't do
die
it.
so
they do
quickly?
get harder as time goes on, and then it would get to a point where that's enough last chances. Off you go.
And some of the orcs have abilities, one that I ran into, that negates having a last chance.
Exactly. Yep.
That
So
was unfortunate.
you never know. Yeah. Some of these guys will never run away. They'll fight to the death. They are not vulnerable to last chance. They don't give you a last chance, so you never know who you're going to run into.
Some will humiliate you and walk away and not finish you off.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, they'll leave you lingering in your own pain. Meanwhile, so what's happened here is that Evan has died. Time is marching on. A lowly grunt has been promoted into a position of power, but happens to be one of the guys that we converted as we were just playing the game. So we already have a captain who answers to us who just got promoted. So that can happen, just by happenstance.
A couple other guys were promoted in there too.
Okay, cool. So we have this guy. He answers to us. He is already a bodyguard.
This guy doesn't answer to us.
Oh, he doesn't.
No.
Okay.
This guy does over here.
Okay. So who are we going after? Are you gonna take, who killed you first of all? This guy?
Yep. It was his bodyguard.
So let's
Ratlug.
So let's go play out some revenge.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
You know he's a revenge target. He has the red arrow above his head. We can totally hunt down Ratlug the savage, and try and make him our own or kill him. We'll decide when we get there.
And so when you die, these guys become more powerful. Does that also increase the rewards for them?
Yeah, yeah. Whenever, the more powerful the orc that you kill, the greater the chance for a better rune. So yeah, it does.
So Sakitumi in the forums asks, is there any risk of people dying on purpose just to make enemies stronger so they get better rewards?
You could do that. The risk you run there is that these enemies do get tougher. So that's sort of a risk reward thing, and that is up to you. If you want to just keep letting the same guy grow more and more powerful, I have regretted that in the past.
Is there any other way to get better equipment out of these guys? I know you mentioned threatening them, and that's gonna, as long as they know that's happening.
Yep, the death threats, keeping an eye on their power level, or any one of the war chiefs has a better chance for a better rune as well. So keeping an eye not only on their power and their strengths, but their rank in Sauron's army.
Looks like some kind of human slaves running around as well.
Yeah, so I mentioned the human resistance, the Queen of the Shore.
They have something against some ghouls.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we're being attacked by hordes of ghouls at nighttime here as well. And just so we can see how we can also advance time and see if any of these missions play out on their own and how Orc Society sort of moves on. Let's go ahead and advance time and show how that works.
And you can do this at any point as well.
You can do this at any point, and
if you have a forge tower.
Yep, if you've unlocked a forge tower. So one of our guys getting a promotion, I like that.
Right,
but meanwhile, our target is also getting more powerful. His feast has resolved, so he's gotten some new recruits on his side. Some guys we don't know about getting promoted. One of our own guys again. And then Sauron replenishing his ranks with some unknown Uruks. All right, so let's go after this guy, see if he moved his location.
He did.
All right, so he's moving around the world. We're going to hunt him down now.
All right, Lug.
See if we can find ourselves a ride. I see is that a Graug or a Caragor off? There's a Caragor down there.
Oh, so someone was asking about that monologue that had just come up. Was that more related to the main story?
I missed what he's referencing.
I can't remember what he was talking about.
So there's sort of backstory that fills in whenever we advance time. So Celebrimbor and Talion could have a dialogue that's playing out as we're on a forge tower, or a piece of our backstory, like a memory we have of a conversation we had with our wife. So those things are always playing out in the background.
When you were in battle, of course, you lost health fast enough that you were killed, but how does that normally work? Are you able to just restore health over time, or are there items that you use?
So there's herbs all around the world, and so or mushrooms, and so if you can take some time and have a little distance from your enemies to go and find one of those, then eating those will replenish your health. And also, there's runes that you can slot in that restore health based on your combat tactics.
So like getting combos might slowly restore health.
Yep. If you've slotted that rune. All right, so we have our ride. And I think along the way, Evan was also uncovering intel about something.
I sent Rat Lug a death threat.
Oh, okay.
You should know.
Sending
It's
a
going
death
down.
threat. Sending a death threat to our friend. Let him know we're coming for him. All right, so we're in the area where we need to search for him. That's indicated by the green area on the map. And so Evan is entering Wraith mode to try and find our target. There's one in the background over there. There he is. So a couple hints here. Damage by explosions and combat finishers. Hates Caragors. So the beast that Evan is riding, I don't recommend riding him near him. But if we want to make this fight all the harder, we can. So anytime you trigger one of those hatreds, it cancels out their weaknesses. So it would make the fight all that tougher. But up to Evan, what he wants to do. So anywhere Talion can go, the Caragor can go too, which we see as he scales the cliff there, slotting in one of those ability points.
So I noticed you also have a drain mount, someone pointed out. What does drain mount do while you're on the mount?
Go ahead and take a shot. So anytime we use Elf Shot, it uses up some of the slots that you see in the HUD. And you can drain power out of your enemies or your friends, and that will refill your Elf Shot. And it will also drain the life out of the poor Caragor.
Cool, I didn't want him distracting me.
That's true. Evan, knowing that this guy hates Caragors, took care of him for him.
Haven't seen our leader in ages. Where's he hiding?
Oh yeah, pull him over.
I thought I heard.
So using our shadow ability to call this guy to investigate.
Pipe down.
That'll be the last thing he ever does.
And it seems like the game rewards kind of a mix of both stealth and Rambo-type combat.
Absolutely. So he's got a nice little following around him. Is he vulnerable to stealth? Let's find out. Well, his follower was.
I wanted someone to help me.
Okay, so converting some of these guys to our side before the fight starts.
Is there a limit on how many people you can convert?
Nope, no limit.
Magical.
So referencing the fact that he's already killed him once, taunting him a little bit, and savoring this next fight. Using his Wraith Daggers to keep a little distance between himself and the enemies around him. Double counter, nice.
Once we kill him.
So we've touched on this a little bit, but one of the guys in the chat asked, is the combat more like Assassin's Creed combat or the Arkham games in terms of button layout and counters and that kind of thing?
You know, I find it a little similar to Arkham in that, you know, there's definitely a counter system there, but with the combination of the bow and the dagger and the, you know, it definitely has its own unique feel.
Like Assassin's Creed always feels very one-on-one, even when you're surrounded by enemies. Whereas in this, you're obviously taking on a large number of guys all at the same time, who sometimes are attacking simultaneously.
Right. No, that's a great point. We want to you're always like, there's so many Uruk. We want to maximize that feel of what it's like to be this powerful, to take on these forces, Okay, so we've got this guy. We issued a death threat against him. We're not going to pay off that death threat. We're going to convert him to our side. He taunted us, so now he's going to answer to us. And we're going to send him after... Does he already work for somebody?
He does.
So let's send him to betray his war chief and be there to make sure that it goes in our favor.
Yeah, I have the other bodyguard too. This guy's going down for sure.
Okay, sweet.
He definitely won't take me again.
Yeah, so this is a little revenge. Revenge will be sweet here. We've converted both his bodyguards to our side. So my money's on Evan this time around.
So you mentioned being able to fast forward time. Some of the guys in the chat were joking like, well, why don't I just fast forward to the point where Frodo shows up with the ring and destroys it?
Yeah, you could try that. That would be a lot of fast forwarding, though.
So how forward? You forward just a few hours, or is it a day?
Yeah, like it's basically maybe a 12-hour period.
So yeah, someone should make a video of that. Just
Just fast forward time.
one day at a
over and
time,
over again.
several years.
Exactly. A year in the life of Talion.
And Talion's not he was not a named character in any of the books. He's just a regular guy.
Yep, he's a new character that we created to tell this story.
Has there been any fear, or what's the reaction been like to Tolkien purists who don't like their lore being messed with?
Right. You know, I find that it's the great thing about making a game in this universe is that it's such a rich environment. There's so much to draw from that my experience playing through the game and finding the artifacts. These artifacts carry memories of times past in Mordor, or times like ancient times in Mordor. So I actually find that like my appreciation for the stories and the richness of the lore has nothing but increased in the creation and the playing of the game. So I hope that the purists and the fans find the same, that we're very respectful of the lore, and we're just using it to tell a great story of our own, but also enriching the story that exists.
So is this going to be entered into the Lord of the Rings canon? Like, is this official now?
You know, that's for the fans to decide. I mean, I'm extremely proud of the game and the story we're telling.
So, for some of the new people coming in, we're playing this on the PlayStation 4 build, but it's pretty much the same game across Xbox One and PC. Playing on a PlayStation 4 controller.
Yep.
But it works with mouse and keyboard.
And the game is also available on PS3 and 360 as well.
But you guys are not working on that one directly.
Monolith is not working on that one directly, no. Yeah, we're working with another partner on that, but very much trying to keep the essence of the Nemesis system is completely intact. All the story missions, like the gameplay, as much as possible, true to what you're seeing here.
But in the story itself, everything.
Check it out. In the cave there is a Graug just hanging out. We could go try and stealth up to him, which is a matter of slicing his Achilles tendon.
Also attract him.
Yeah.
Bleeding the Graug.
So, yeah, he's bleeding the Graug. But that's not our purpose. Yeah, we didn't want to get into a Graug fight. Let's trigger this mission.
So the PS3 360 version, essentially the same. It's going to be the same story, the same experience that you're getting, but some slight differences in terms of like the Nemesis system and how that works.
Yeah, the exact details on what the differences are, like, you know, we're still in development on those. So at the end of the day, you know, that's to be seen. But it's very much, again, like the essence of the Nemesis system, very much intact. So go ahead, trigger it off. We're going to try and make sure that our guy is still standing at the end of this. This takes place nice and isolated. He's called him out of the stronghold, so we won't be surrounded by all the same forces that we were before.
Yeah. So someone was asking, I was kind of curious about this as well. When you dominate a war chief, do all of his minions or his guys, do they become loyal to you?
Absolutely, that's the main point of it. So why don't you just jump into the middle of this fight and remind him see what he says about.
Man's you're the one who promised I'd die slow, ain't ya? Better get ready to eat schrock.
So calling out the fact that we've sent a death threat against him, told his guys that, turned his guys against him. And you can see both the bodyguards in blue reporting to us, helping us out with this fight. While we stun him, they go in for the kill.
So if they go ahead and they knock him out, you still get the rewards for it, though.
Yep,
right?
exactly. Yeah, that rune would drop, and I'd be able to go collect that. I don't like this guy's chances. And actually, because this is part of a mission, the guy who, it's a betrayal mission, the guy who's betraying him, when we kill him, he'll get the promotion and he'll take his place. He wants to deliver the final blow too. Go ahead and let him. There you go. See? Evan is all about the morale of his troops.
Gotta make those guys happy. Do they become more powerful when you let them do stuff like that, or does that not really affect anything?
No. It totally makes them more powerful. So the fact that we let him finish off that betrayal mission, helped him be successful in it, his power increases, he becomes a war chief, gets a new set of armor. All of the troops that were loyal to that chakra are now loyal to us.
Crown, pretty cold. What will the world do now that it is the dawn?
And we could send him on missions for us. Let's grab him and send him on a mission.
BZ Plasma asks, how will the loading times work in the game? Are they virtually non-existent? Are they when you go between map areas? Or
if you've been watching the stream, you see you see it in action. So it's no longer than any time that I fast travel or die. Just as much time as it takes to load that back up that's our load time.
And then when you go to select a new map area, they're like not necessarily connected, but when you fast travel to them.
Yeah. So it's really fast. Okay, what do we want to do? Death threat, command, gain some intel about someone we don't know about, or just let him go on his merry way. You know, we've done a couple death threats. Let's see what options are available to us. So we're gonna send him to create a riot among another war chief, and this will start to undermine his forces and distract him by causing him to take care of his own troops.
I keep seeing different abilities every time I look at this stuff.
Yeah.
It's really deep.
So who do we want to send a riot against? Let's see. Let's zoom in on this guy. Athkoth. Let's do him.
Yep.
And maybe that's where we'll wrap up. We'll go see how this riot plays out, and show you one of those to wrap it up.
Yeah, so we'll probably finish out the stream with this. So if you have any other last-minute questions you'd like to get in, ask the guys who are making Shadow of Mordor.
Just shanking this guy just for the hell of it? What are you doing, man?
Shouldn't have been a orc.
Evan has anger issues. So this is really close. Sweet.
They remember me, I remember them.
All right, so we're going to start this riot. So he's challenging, he's calling out another war chief. This is just a rumble. Sharks and jets going at it.
So one question that we're getting a couple times is about the PC version of this. Is it ported PC? Is it optimized specifically for PC?
No, optimized for PC. So yeah, Monolith has been making PC games really long time, and so you can expect great stuff from them. Mm-hmm.
So, a big, strong war chief wants to play, eh?
You have no idea what you've got yourself into. Kill 'em all!
Our guys versus their guys. I like our chances better.
Oh, and you can see your little army
Yep,
behind
exactly. You see,
He brought his
He has
bodyguard.
his followers. We have ours. All of ours have the glowing blue eyes, so we can be careful not to. So he's afraid of betrayal, so he's going to run away, which is an opportunity for us to convert him immediately to our side. So let's do that. Grab him. Since he has a fear triggered, and everyone else is, you can't combat brand him.
And so there's a different way that you kind of get guys over to your side when you're in the midst of combat versus the more powerful characters.
Exactly. With that big fight going on in the background, you can combat brand him. Prove me wrong. So we've instantly converted that guy to our side.
Not the smartest place for you to be, unless you enjoy dying.
We'll see. We'll see who wins this one after all. So using his defender abilities against you, using his shield to block, but Evan counters that with a Wraith move over his head, which stuns him, attacking him from the back, using those Wraith daggers as well. Throwing our own guys into him. Using a Wraith flurry. Getting him down there.
But he's surrounded. He's definitely not getting out of here alive.
And they don't necessarily all focus on you either. They see that these other guys are enemies, and so they're gonna fight amongst one another.
Yeah, at this point, all of our troops are the only ones left. It's like our troops against the war chief, and that is the end of that. So we let's see what kind of rune we get from this guy. Nice, powerful war chief. And we'll see how this plays out. Our riot succeeded in our favor. And, oh, look at that. One of our guys takes his place. See how that works?
Guy that I branded mid-combat.
Nice. Yeah, his instant combat brand. Bodyguard switched in the heat of battle, takes his place. So 3 out of 5 war chiefs converted to our side. We're well on our way to building an army, which is only part of the story that we're telling. And we can't wait for fans to get their hands on the rest of the story, which game releases on September 30th. And
So soon. That's coming up fast.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that there's not a way to change the way that your character looks. Like that's basically how you look in the game. But there's I guess a Dark Ranger pre-order bonus.
Yes, yeah, there are some skins that you can buy, and the pre-order bonus is the Dark Ranger. And so you know, sort of that embracing the shadow a little more. If you want to have that look, that is one of the things that you can do is get those skins and customize your look.
Is there anything like that that you unlock in the game, or are those going to be purely like pre-order and bonus type stuff?
Yeah, pre-order and bonus type stuff. And but we haven't announced all our plans yet.
And there's going to be some DLC, some other extra stuff added onto the game.
Yep, absolutely. So the season pass has been announced. That comes with a whole bunch of story missions, and we're going to reveal details on those very soon. It also gives you early access to the Trials of War, which are, you know, will replenish Sauron's army. And like I said, there's leaderboards attached to those, and so depending on how fast and how efficiently you can get your way through all of the captains and all of the war chiefs, you'll earn your place on the leaderboard. And we'll have a new one. We'll have new trials coming out as well. So Season Pass gives you early access to those, which totally takes advantage of the Nemesis system. And then there's some story missions that we haven't gotten into details on yet.
So like story as in like full dialogue and like adding on to that main quest.
Yeah, cinematics, characters to meet, new stories to tell. Yep, absolutely.
Very cool. You guys must be tired because you've been playing for an hour and a half now. And the game is shipping very soon. September 30th is when you're going to be able to pick it up. You can pre-order it now. As you mentioned, a bunch of really cool pre-order bonuses.
Yep.
And, you know, I guess that's it. That's a really cool look at the game, how the Nemesis system works, how the combat works. If you guys want to find out more, you can come over to GameSpot.com. We'll be talking about the game. We'll have our review going up, of course, on September 30th when the game comes out. But in the meantime, thanks so much for watching.
Thank you.